All right, it's Monday, September 8th, 10 o'clock, regular session of the Board of Supervisors. The first item on the agenda is the agenda itself and the minutes of the September 2nd regular session.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the agenda and minutes as stand. Any further comment?
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any public comment? We'll move on to new business, which will be the auditor.
Claims are prepared in front of you, sir. Move to approve claims as presented.
I'll second.
Motion and a second to approve the claims as presented. Any further comment there? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes. Any payroll?
No pay for you, sir.
Any drainage?
I have no new drainage, but a follow-up regarding Joint Drainage District 13186 in Thornton. The contractor has completed the 2 applications and he went back and did a spot application. So he was there a total of 3 times. And it's now in that window of time where things should be dying off. So if you did want to assign the watchman to investigate and ensure that it was done correctly, now would be the probably recommended time.
Since your department handles that and we look for guidance, I would move to approve that if it needs to be formally approved.
I think that just for transaction purposes to have formally assigned would be probably the responsible thing.
That would be my motion.
Second.
We get a motion and a second. Any further discussion? I would just concur, I believe, because I've been down there a couple of times and I don't think it took very well. So it'd be nice to have a professional opinion. So, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Item number 4 is to approve the sheriff's monthly report of fees.
I move to approve as presented.
Motion and a second to approve is presented. Any further comment? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. We're gonna drop down to item 6 for a couple minutes with our county engineer, Brandon.
Hi, good morning. I just thought I'd give you guys an update saying that, we got all the remediation done on the Illinois building so that we can get it demoed. I also received all the certificates saying that it was inspected and everything was properly disposed of. So now, today I'm gonna send out a letter to the qualified contractors that Mason City approves to get numbers on the actual demolition. I'm gonna give them 2 weeks to ask us questions, review the site and get numbers back to us. Hopefully 2 weeks from now, I'll come back to you guys to let you know who the low bid was for the demolition. So I just figured I'd let you know that that's progressing. As soon as I hire a contractor for the demolition is when I can apply to the city for a demolition permit. And once that permit is had from them, at that point, we'll be able to proceed with the demolition. So I guess that's where we're at in the process. I don't know how long that permit takes, but the city is aware that we're doing this. So at least it won't be surprised when they receive it. Hopefully we can get that through pretty quick. An update on the project side, Rognus has not moved into the culvert yet that we have. It's on Hickory, just north of B15, directly next to the interstate on the west side. They're waiting on the boxes to be delivered from the manufacturer that's creating them for them. Their late start date is Monday, a week from today. But if the boxes haven't been delivered because of the short turnaround they got from the DOT, we're not going to start working days until the boxes are delivered to the site.
Is there a turnaround time on that?
It only takes 2 weeks. Once the boxes are on site, they'll be in and out of there in 2 weeks. From
Just as far as harvest?
yeah, they should be able to miss that pretty easy. These are, Rognus is very efficient and these are quick boxes put on gravel roads. So it shouldn't affect anything for harvest or farms. At least not a great deal if it does at all.
Okay.
You asked me to look into that 150th Street and Yarrow intersection.
Correct.
And where that comes out is directly in the middle of that curve. So it'd be my recommendation that we leave it as a stop sign. If it were to be into a straight road portion, we could have entertained a yield sign, but it'd be my opinion that we continue leaving that as a stop condition instead of changing it to a yield.
Good enough. I'll call them and let them know.
Other than that, we're continuing work on our work orders. There's a bunch of them. I got one call and they're going to start on today in Mason City and Clear Lake. At the moment, our bud is finishing up a bunch of mowing and we're doing some grader training. And we're also finishing up gravel in his territory. So he has not started on his drainage work orders yet, but both Mason City and Clear Lake are actively working on those as of today. Okay.
Okay, at this time, we'll come back to Brandon in a little bit, but it's 10:05. So at this time, I'm going to open the public hearing on proposed ordinance 11C, which is the health nuisance ordinance, and let the two ladies representing the health department talk.
Hey, good morning. So yeah, we've got before you ordinance 11C, which has been updated with basically definitions to make those a little clearer and what we consider nuisances within the county. I kind of outlined this last time too, but also penalties. We changed it from a simple misdemeanor to a civil penalty within the county. Let me see, and then just put some language in here that pertains to Iowa code versus spelling out detail in here. So if Iowa code changes, our ordinance will match that automatically by adoption. So this has been brought forth to our Board of Health and signed and approved. So we're bringing it forward to the Board of Supervisors and the public now.
We have some questions. There's people here that have some questions too. So unless you have something else, I would ask members of the public just to state your name, your address for the record, and go for it. Anybody? Start here, your name and address.
Matthew Doan, 598 250th Street, Thornton, Iowa. I have some serious concerns concerning this ordinance, mainly due to the fact about the legality of it and how it affects farmers. The state of Iowa has a right to farm law. As such, farmers have nuisance immunity. And some of the nuisances that are listed in this, farmers should have immunity to via state law. I would
Any specifics that you would, just so that we can.
off the top of my head, you start talking about things such as vegetation, smells. The reason why is a long time ago, city people would like to go out on car drives in the country. And because of this, they had problems with farmers because farms are stinky and unsightly. And so they started bringing lawsuits against farmers. This caused a problem. So many states had to create these right to farm laws to prevent farms from going out of business because obviously the country needs food. So farmers were protected from these nuisance lawsuits that people were trying to use against them to drive them out of business. As such, this seems to me as another way to drive farmers out of business. Definitions that I have problems with, just off the top of my head, where it says like,
Which page are you referring to?
number 4, where it says nuisances defined, it would be page 4, letter K. So dense growth of all weeds, vines, brush, or other vegetation. What is other vegetation? Could that be crops? I don't know. That's not listed. What's classified as dense growth? That's not listed. Are we talking about height? What exactly? I don't know. It's vague. Other problems I have, where we start talking about letter T on the nuisances defined, where you start talking about any building or portion thereof, in which any of the following conditions exist, either individually or in combination of. Infestation of vermin. Well, I hate to break it to you, farms have vermin. And when you go under page, right here, page 3, where it defines vermin, you start talking about things like pigeons, raccoons, bats, mice, rats, flies, mosquitoes. All of these are things that are common on farms. Serious problems. The list goes on and on with this. But I would prefer not to just take the whole day ripping this all apart. I would like to see us have more than just this meeting today. I would like to see the other meetings not be waived so that other farmers would have the opportunity to come and speak about this.
Duly noted. Anything else from anybody else?
Earl Wareham, 2006 16th Avenue North, Clear Lake, Iowa. I agree with Bryce Lee with what he said. And, you know, with bats are good animals, eat bugs. You got a corn crib, there's gonna be rats. You know, I mean, it's kind of a thing of the past some places, but if you're picking ear corn or putting in a corn crib, you're gonna have rats and mice. And so, you know, and to have other as a description of anything, any kind of legal form is too vague.
Okay. Anybody in the back there? Nobody else? It's your opportunity.
Yeah, Chris, as far as rodents go, my garages are all perfect. I live there, 2942 Lark Avenue, Sheffield. As far as rodents go, my garages are all maintained very well. I opened up one of my shop doors the other day for some tools, 4 mice looking at me, like the gentleman says. You're gonna have rodents, vermin in farms.
Yeah.
And I live in the country.
Thanks, man.
Of course, the dogs got mice. I think that's some mice.
Anything else from anybody?
I just would like, I mean, I guess before we stop the portion of the public hearing, and am not necessarily looking for a tit for tat, but on a few of the issues raised, I guess my question is, on the verbiage that they're concerned about, which I think probably can be subjective, right? The eyes of the beholder, which would make me concerned for you guys saying, well, who decides that? I guess what if this language specifically has changed from our current ordinance? And what we're talking and what their concerns are they different than what we currently have? You
Yeah.
guys know.
As far as the rodent and vermins go, we did get more specific on what those entailed.
Yep.
To include skunks, snakes, bats, raccoons, starlings, and pigeons. So that got more detailed to explain that definition
Okay.
further. But I guess I'm going to say the intent of this ordinance too is to focus on closer living proximities, like, you know, like in Clear Lake or Mason City, where you have a home that's being affected by rodents with a neighbor that's next door. Not necessarily out in the farm community, out in the country where you don't have people directly affected by the animals or the nuisances listed in the ordinance.
And obviously, we had a board staff talk to you about trying to work through this. We're trying to come up with a better solution to some questions that we've been tasked with, as well as you guys following up with. Some of the language, is it Iowa specific? Was it lifted from a boilerplate of something broadened? Like where did you guys come up with the language?
Some of the definitions have come right out of Iowa code
Okay.
and the nuisance chapter.
So to this gentleman's point, if Iowa code says that, then are we in concert with Iowa code, or we can contradictory to what Iowa code already says? From your opinion.
In alignment with the nuisance portion of Iowa code.
Okay.
And I guess
Go ahead.
along that, for the rural people that are in the community, this isn't designed just for the rural people. This is Mason City, or like the other communities in the county.
But Mason City, Clear Lake, they have their own.
Right.
So we're not superseding. I mean, this is just the unincorporated areas. And then we've been tasked, my understanding is to work with incorporated areas if they don't have one and they choose to partner with us.
Correct. So you don't want that kind of vermin living in the community of Rockwell inside the community. You know what I mean?
I can understand that. However, when you read the scope, it says within the boundaries of Cerro Gordo County. We're in the boundaries.
Right.
So you are, in effect, targeting farmers with it as well as others. We're all in this together. That's the problem.
And that's what we'll figure this out together, hopefully. Len, did you have another
Yes, sir.
comment?
Talking, let's say, I could name you probably a dozen farms that have not technically abandoned, but everybody's got an old pickup or an old car out behind the garage. They're gonna restore it someday. Of course, you get started on it, mice just go flying out of it, or a raccoon or something. Are you talking about those cars also out in there? Because and one guy was talking, if they walk out into my property, that's trespass. Because the car is hidden from view. But if you walk out there and look for that car, he's gonna get you guys for trespassing without a warrant or anything. So I can name you probably a dozen people that have got a car, it's hidden, so it's not an eyesore, but still, he doesn't want you out there. The one guy was out there one time, he said they took hood ornaments off his cars. Stole them right off, so if he catches you out there, you might get a shotgun blast at you.
And for the ladies here, I did get quite a few calls yesterday and today primarily, and I guess it was on KIMT or something in regards to this meeting or this ordinance and whatnot. So there was a couple of concerns that were voiced to me. They were not able to be here today. I'm gonna just tell you what they are. And I don't know what you, as far as tweaking, but especially with the dead ash board that we have right now, a farmer in the rural parts of the county, I had one this morning, said he burnt 44 or 46 yesterday. So what's he to do about that? The way this ordinance states, is he in violation if his neighbor called and complained? That was one that was noted. The other one was the dead animal thing, and I witnessed it. I think it was 5 years or so ago down towards Doherty, where there was over 100 dead carcasses that had sat there for, I would say, well over a week, maybe 2 weeks at that point. And Tara's familiar with situations like that. Those have to be dealt with, but from the language that one of the farmers that called me this morning made it sound like it was too short a time frame, like 24 hours notice. I don't know. And his point was the renders, they have a route, maybe it's twice a week or in their area to pick up. Can that be tweaked? But they still have to be dealt with one way or the other, but maybe look at the timing fashion on it. I think that was my big concerns from the people I talked to. Anything, Carl?
I live in the country also. I raised livestock for over 20 years. I understand what it's like to have a farm that has, you have flies, you have some odors, you have all those sorts of things. Reading this is a little bit unnerving, but I know the intention isn't to interfere with any farming operation. It's primarily to protect people more in the more inhabited areas. But the way it's written it's a little bit unnerving. I understand, because I am one of those guys that raised livestock for over 20 years. And I had a few concerns that I brought up during the public meeting we had to discuss this in the first place. And county health explained a few things to me. And is there anything like that you'd like, the questions I asked and the way you explained it, would you like to explain that again? So everybody understands more of the intention. And if there's something you think we need to reword or whatever, we like to hear your opinions of that.
So generally how our ordinance works is people contact us with a complaint. Then we either have a phone call, we have somebody go out on it and ask whoever the complaint is against, what's going on, So for example, we have had complaints in the past about dead animals on properties. And as long as there's a plan in place to take care of that, that's usually all it is a complaint from a neighbor on the smell. We go out, we talk to the person, and the complaint is closed because it's already been handled. So that's, how it works for us. We don't go on people's property looking for abandoned cars or trying to find nuisances. It's not a gotcha type of thing. It's a working with people type of thing. So, I mean, that's how we approach it. And we have people who work in our department who take care of this, who use discernment when they're taking these complaints. We've never had a case about crops in field or overgrowth that has to do with farming in the history that I've worked at the department.
Thank you.
Is there any plan from your department to submit a budget to the Board of Supervisors to hire multiple people to start enforcing this more specifically than what we're already doing? What, is there grant money that you guys have received to try to like do I mean, I'm being serious.
No.
Okay.
They have to have the tools to work with, and I don't think they have any objection to, correct me if I'm wrong, taking some of the concerns and tweaking it and bringing it back to us. If nothing else, anybody else have anything to say?
I think ordinances only have the power to be enforced in areas that aren't already covered by state law. So if there's already state law protecting farms from the various issues, I don't think that this ordinance could supersede that. So I think they go and fight outside of law.
The problem you have is if you get called on your ordinance, you have penalties. These penalties are daily if you don't take care of it immediate. Now, if I'm suffering these penalties day by day by day, and I think I'm protected as such, and someone doesn't agree with it, how do I go about correcting this issue? I've got to go to court. That's time. That's money out of my pocket. That's a problem because now you're having an argument. Who's right? Who's wrong? And a court has to decide that. And that's the problem.
One last comment on my part. They have to have the tools for and we talked about it a little bit beforehand, for that person out there that don't give a crap about their neighbor. I told you about the 100 dead pigs pile with maggots and flies. I called public health, how can you help us? Because it was a concern from a person in the county. And I've called public health on we've got another issue going on right now. And that was chicken litter, which I shared with you also. And you know what chicken litter is. So, I mean, it's that one person, or I should say, that ruins it for the rest of everybody else. That they need to, it can't be any closer than 5,000 feet or 500 feet or whatever it comes to it. That's the guidance that we're trying to give this department to help everybody.
And I can appreciate that.
Right.
But at the same time, I've got to protect myself.
Right.
As a farmer, you know what? I've got to keep my own self safe.
100% agree.
If we've never had a complaint against things like dense growth of all weeds, why is that in there? If there's never been a problem with this, why are we adding things in there? This feels like overreach to me. And I know it might be shocking, but I do have problems just trusting the government blindly. And as such, I will raise questions. And if I don't, I'm going to find myself in a world of hurt. And all of a sudden, someone's going to go, well, did you go to the meeting? Did you follow up? Did you question? Well, that's what I'm doing right now. So I'm trying to not just keep myself safe, but keep my neighbors who are busy as well safe.
So ladies, do you have a time frame as far as tweaking some things, recommendation back to us?
I would say by the end of the week, we can definitely have some things, updated and submit them to you for a review.
This would have to go to the Board of Health to be approved, or?
Yeah. Because we're changing it. Yep.
Is that what you'd like to do? Some time to rethink it, take it to the Board of Health?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Anything else as far as the public hearing, John?
Yeah, I just had a chance to
John, name and address.
Well, John Casper's, 11677 130th Street, Soildale.
Thanks, John.
A resident of the county. I just had a chance to read it this morning and not comprehensively, but it appears to me that I think I share the concerns of the people. I think it's just overly broad. And I think, and I'm serious when I say, I think it potentially puts every single resident, every single property owner in violation of something. And the other thing I think you've talked about a little bit, but a lot of things it addresses are already regulated by not only the county, but other agencies, the state. The animal mortalities is DNR regulates that, very specific regulations. I can't cite them all to you, but there's means, to deal with those things if there's some violation found other than this. But I guess I would, because of that, I just urge, if there's something specific that you're having troubles dealing with, I think it'd be better to specifically put an ordinance in place to deal with that specific item rather than to have this over encompassing broad regulation that I think potentially causes a lot of problems that could be avoided in other ways and potentially causes, regulating over something, some other agency that has the authority. Could cause some potential litigation costs for the county in the future where you've got opposing regulations or overlapping regulations. I just, if there's something specific, I'd ask them go back and write something more specific and targeted to things you're having problems with rather than this overly broad regulation. That's just my input. So.
Thanks, John. Anybody else before we close this portion of the public hearing?
Make motion to close this portion of the public hearing.
Second.
Motion and a second to close portion of public hearing. Any further comment? All in favor? Aye. Aye. Next up is item number A, motion to adopt ordinance 11C, and item B is consider waiving second and third. What do you want to do, gentlemen?
In lieu of the feedback, but also understanding how this process goes, to continue the conversation, I would move to adopt this ordinance as is. And I would not consider waiving the second or third until we have more feedback. And so I guess we just got to act on item A. And so I would move that we adopt the ordinance as is, in hopes of continuing the conversation and making it better, which sounds goofy.
I'll second so we can discuss it.
Yeah.
Motion and a second to adopt ordinance 11C, and now we are at discussion. So
speaking with the Director of Public Health, it sounds like they're willing to go back and to the table and make some changes. Would you like to see some more time, some more feedback from the public first before you do that? You can start the process. So if we approve this, is just to extend the period of public comment. Now, I'm not in support of approving it and waiving everything. I want it. It's good to have more public comment. So if I approve this, this motion is just to give more time for public comment for you to rewrite. Otherwise, we don't approve it and you just go back to the drawing board right now. So which one do we want to do is the whole thing.
basically the same. I'm not in favor of it as it is, but as Supervisor Callahan said, to keep the process moving. And it doesn't have to be acted on next week. It can be 3 weeks, whatever the ladies come back to us for, and give Michelle time to put out public notice. So and give a chance for the rest of the farming community, the rural community to address it. So I'd be in favor of moving it forward, but again, I'm not in favor of waiving the second or third because I think time needs to be had.
And by us doing this, just to clarify, it's not enforceable, right? So we haven't adopted this. So by us doing this first reading, it's not like anybody, we can't go out and hang on, so anyways, just to clarify.
Anything else? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Roll call.
Oh, okay.
Roll call. Callahan. Or, go ahead.
Callahan.
Aye.
Gina.
Aye.
Watts.
Aye. So then item number 5B, consider waiving second and third considerations.
No, so do we make a motion to just say that, no, just don't address it?
Formal motion.
Okay,
Okay, then we will move on.
How about setting a second reading?
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I'll wait to hear from our department head on when you want to schedule that with Michelle.
I mean, they have to take it back through Board of Health and then, yeah, I'll have to see when publications can get in and then we've got the 420 thing we have to,
We'll try and make sure the notice is out there and the media is notified to give the public the time and opportunity. Good enough. We'll move back to Brandon.
I was pretty much done. I said the Rockwell is, they're not yet doing very many of their work orders for the drainage things. They're trying to finish up their mowing and rocking, but they're planning to move into that soon. I know we're doing some more training on a few of the pieces of equipment, so we have some other people that can use the grade all. But yeah, we're making progress. You guys have any questions for me?
So we talked a little bit about FER. Did you want to update the other
Yeah,
two?
so, the Fur Avenue Bridge is the one we just closed. It's on that little diagonal corner by B20. And, it's over 30 feet deep, valley where this goes through. And there's 100-some-foot long bridge on top of it that we closed because half of it was failing pretty badly. And I didn't figure it was safe enough to just keep traffic on the one half of the bridge that didn't fail. I guess I didn't like that, so we ended up having you guys vote to close that bridge. Just downstream of it is a twin 12x12 box, less than a half mile away. So obviously, a 12x12 box would work where the street was. The problem with that being is the DNR and the Corps of Engineers hates it when you turn a bridge into a culvert, and they hate it even more when you turn a big bridge into a small culvert. So it's unlikely to go through the Corps of Engineers and the DNR very quickly, or permitting if we decided to do that. And due to the depth of this valley and the length of box and right-of-way costs, we're having to buy or build retaining walls. We're looking at easily $750,000 to $1 million to put this bridge back into service. And it's in a spot that is less than a mile detour for the people that live on the north side to get to the south side, which I recognize the inconvenience of having to go around versus being able to go straight across the bridge as it had in the past. But I feel that money could be better utilized in other portions of the county. So I guess at this point, I'm willing to design something and get something in place, especially if you guys direct me to do it. But my opinion is that we utilize our time and resources other places at the moment.
All right, and the other one, I guess I'll talk to you after the meeting if you stick around for a little bit. But other than that, we're down at correspondence, communications. We'll do this.
Second.
A motion and a second to adjourn. Any further comment? All in favor? Aye. We are adjourned at 10:33.